So I think there's been some confusion with how these lasers and how these mirrors relate to one another, and how best to set them up. This is the methodology that I had found worked quite well. Basically what I started with is the laser tube here, and I basically put a piece of tape across this mirror, and I shot the laser into that, putting a mark on that actual piece of tape. And what I did was adjust the physical coordinates of this mirror, so the mirror is in entirety, not just the adjustment plate. The entire mirror I physically moved forward and backwards until I got the entire thing basically centered on the center of that circle. So the mirror, or the laser hit the very center of that mirror perfectly in the center. At that point, I was able to then start to work to make sure that that laser beam was parallel to these rails. So basically that left this mirror, so this tape is now gone at this point. The laser had left this mirror and went up to this mirror, which this is where it's critical that this is parallel and hits this mirror at the exact same bullseye, the exact same center point every time, and that's regardless of how far or close it is to this other mirror. And that is key, that hits the exact same spot in the mirror every time, and that's how you know that this is parallel. So basically, if this were moving, if you shot a pulse with the mirror at its furthest point away from this mirror, and it hit here, so if that laser actually hit here, then whenever you moved it closer, the laser actually hit over here, you would have a difference here between the two lasers, and that's not something that you want. So I'll draw that a little bit bigger. If you had the mirror here, and of course you want it to hit the center, but if for some reason whenever it was at the furthest point it hit here, and then at the closest point, say it hit down here, that means that your mirror is not parallel to the travel on this rail, and that's what you need to adjust. And the best way, in my opinion, to do that is to take a piece of board, totally disregard that there's a mirror there, take a piece of cardboard and strap onto that mirror. And at the furthest point, pulse and put a mark on that piece of cardboard. And I use tape on top of the cardboard, that way I could just keep layering tape on and I'd have a blank slate to work from. But basically, I shot a pulse here, and in my situation, my laser was actually off to the left, and whenever it exited, it hit the corner of the piece of that cardboard and made contact in the very far left corner of the piece of cardboard. Now whenever I move that piece of cardboard further ahead, I'll try to draw this on the same plane. Here was my original mark where it hit up here, but whenever I moved it further ahead, you can clearly see that it's going to hit right here. And that is basically what we're seeing with this. We don't want that to have any, you want that to be the exact same spot. So my suggestion is to move this rear mirror as far away as possible and continue to move it back and forth, and making little dial adjustments on the actual adjustment screws, the set screws on this mirror face. That's not moving the whole entire mirror, that's just that mirror face. So you make those adjustments until the point of which the laser hits the cardboard here is the same as it hits here. So you don't want any variation. And then you will find at that point, whenever you remove that cardboard, you'll see that you basically move this mirror, physically move the entire unit by unscrewing the bolt, you physically move the entire unit until it's centered in that. So you never adjust that again. After you have that piece of cardboard on the exact same spot here as it is here, you never adjust those again for the setup procedure. So from here, you basically move this laser or this mirror so that whenever the laser hits, it's in the very center again. So basically we have the mirror, and then we want center contact only, and you go through that same process. So I guess the moral of this whole story is the coordinates or the positioning of this laser tube isn't necessarily that vital, because you make adjustments to this mirror to correct that. So this laser tube could actually come in at an angle such as this, and of course this is a smaller version of this laser tube, but the laser could actually come in at an angle of this reflection, and as long as you get this mirror to reflect straight and parallel with this line, it doesn't really matter what this laser tube's doing. Now ideally we want that to be as close to a 90-degree angle down here as we possibly can, but basically this laser tube has no bearing as long as it's close to the parallelism of this rail. So you adjust that parallelism with the parallelism, I'm not even sure if that's a word, but how parallel that is, you adjust with the set screws in this mirror, and then you get it lined up. And again, I did it with that piece of cardboard by moving it forward and back until I had the exact same crosshair points at both the furthest and the nearest points, and then you can proceed to setting up the next mirror. And of course that just is a continuation onto the center point of this mirror. So for example, right now it looks like that this would hit in the wrong spot because the mirror would actually be right here in the center. So I would move this entire head unit over until it hit in the center, and that actually you would move this mirror to make it hit here. So it's kind of a two-step process at this point, but I think just this much of my setup procedure would clarify a lot of the questions looming on whether or not you need to actually put a piece of rod or try to get these square or anything like that. It seems like a lot of extra work for all you really need to do. So hopefully that helps.